Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting after Carlisle have just released their retained released list. And I'm just going to be going over it, giving it some thoughts, giving it some things I might have done differently, but we'll just start off fairly quickly with the players that are already under contract for next season. And that's Jack Armour, Ryan Edmondson, Jack Ellis, Joe Garner, Callum Guy, Jaden Harris, Thomas Hawley, Paul Huntington and Owen Moxon. Not really any surprises there because, it's obviously predetermined. It's alongside Gabriel Breeze, Jordan Gibson, Max Kilsby, John Mellish and Corey Whelan, who have all had options activated in their contract to stay a further year. Players offered new deals: Taylor Charters, Christian Dennis, Morgan Feeney, Amari Patrick. No real surprises there either. And then we get on to the rather unfortunate players release list. It starts Lewis Bell, Jamie Devitt, Brennan Dickinson, Josh Dixon, Sam Fishburn, Mick Kelly, Joel Senior, Toby Shaw-Silver, and Scott Simons, with Finn Buck, Ben Barkley, John Kamani-Gordon, Alfie McCalmont and Jack Robinson all returning to their parent clubs. That's a good few released. It's maybe not as many as I expected to see released. I think the big surprises for me are Amari Patrick and Jordan Gibson staying. Now, I think people need to understand that liking a player doesn't necessarily mean they'll survive the step up from League 2 to League 1. I like Jordan Gibson, and I like Corey Whelan, I like Amari Patrick. They're the three that really surprised me the most. However, I'm not sure. They're all good League 2 players, and they've all played their part massively, especially Amari Patrick and Corey Whelan recently in the playoffs. But similar with Joel Senior, who's getting released, I think they're a good League 2 player, and I think they've done their job really well this season, but it is a giant step up in quality from League 2 to League 1, and I maybe would have expected a few more being released. There might be a few more outgoings with players already under contract. You'd expect Jaden Harris to potentially go out on loan, with maybe Max Kilsby going out on loan again. I'd like to see him given a few starts, especially in pre-season, because he's obviously impressed a lot at Annan. But yeah, another one that sort of dumbfounded me a bit was the Scott Simons being released. Now, Gabriel Breeze is sort of a colleague in the youth goalkeeper department, is being kept on for another further year. And Paul Simpson's already made it very apparent that he wants to sign another goalkeeper in one of his interviews, meaning that Gabriel Breeze probably isn't going to take the step up to being third choice. And look, with them two coming along, same age, contract being given at the same time, this being Breeze and Simons, I think it was always expected that one of them would be kept for longer than the other, because it's very difficult to progress two goalkeepers at the same age at the same time. So that decision's obviously been made to keep Breeze instead of Simons. I don't think there was much in it, to be honest, but it seems that Breeze seems to be the one that has made it onto the bench when needed over the two. He's had a few more sort of chances being in the squad over Scott Simons, so maybe it's not such a big surprise. But yeah, look, I agree with most of these sort of decisions. Like I said, Jordan Gibson, I'd have questions over Corey Whelan, and I'd have questions over Amari Patrick, and maybe Christian Dennis. Despite being our top goal scorer, these are all players that, when everyone's fit, weren't starting in League 2 and are now going to be relied upon in League 1. I trust Paul Simpson with his decisions wholeheartedly, but I do think there needs to be some investment in the summer. And it just seems like you're taking up a lot of the wage bill there and not leaving much room for players coming in. And I know I'll get called negative for this, but you're going up into a league now. We're not going to be playing the likes of Harrogate and Barra. These sort of teams that are coming up with National League players, most of them. We're going to be coming up against the likes of, Bolton, Derby, Reading, Blackpool. A lot of championship quality teams in this division, and I just feel like maybe a few more players could have been let go to accommodate some more reinforcements. And again, that's nothing against any of these players that I would suggest maybe letting go. I just feel like moving up a division, you need a lot of reinforcements. Out of the players offered new deals, it's Taylor Charters, Christian Dennis, Morgan Feeney, and Mari Patrick. I'd expect Taylor Charters to sign his contract, and I'd expect maybe Christian Dennis to do the same. Morgan Feeney and Amari Patrick, I think, might be able to be tempted by deals elsewhere, purely because earlier on in the season, Paul Simpson said he wanted to tie Morgan Feeney down to a longer-term contract. That didn't happen. And he said he wanted to do it before the summer, and it's now happening in the summer. So my understanding is that an offer has been made prior that hasn't been accepted. Maybe he was trying to see which division we'd be in next season, because I think Morgan Feeney, especially with being so young, has a lot of room to improve in another division, and I think he is League One quality. Maybe it was a matter of, if we get promoted, I'll sign, if we stay down, I'm going. But it just seems like Morgan Feeney might be able to be maybe persuaded elsewhere. Maybe just a League One club with a higher budget would do it, because we had one of the lowest budgets in League Two. So being in League One now, I can imagine we've dropped down to maybe perhaps even the bottom in terms of budget. And Amari Patrick, look, he hasn't been getting the game time that I think he wants. I don't think he's had the season that he wants, despite his heroics against Stockport in the final. And I feel like maybe the feeling with him is that he could go somewhere else and play every single week. And maybe the same's clear with Christian Dennis, obviously not starting towards the end of the season. But I kind of want Dennis and Morgan Feeney to stay purely for the song Feeney at the back, Dennis in attack. It can obviously be changed to accommodate different players, but look, it's an interesting list. Owen Moxon obviously staying. He might be one that leaves in the summer if a good offer comes in. I'd definitely I'd like to see either that happens, or we get him on a longer contract, because I don't want a player of his value to be going into the last year of his contract and being able to leave on a free in the next summer. I just think that might be a little bit of a missed opportunity, because look, the club is where it is financially. We're in a lot of debt. So I feel like unless you're going to get him on a longer term contract and utilise him for seasons to come, maybe selling him might be the best option. And there will be interest for Owen Moxon. Simpson will not want to sell him, but I think we either need to sell him or get him on a longer term contract. That's my feeling on Owen Moxon. Despite what it says on here, that all players are already contracted for the 2023-24 season, Owen Moxon's on that list, obviously because he is. But he might not be one that we see starting the season with us. But look, this is all conjecture. This is all opinion-based. I know a lot of people are very upset about Joel Senior leaving. And look, I like Joel Senior, but I don't think Paul Simpson sees him as a long-term sort of player for him, which is disappointing, because he's been very, very good in these playoffs. I think he had a massive part to play, especially in the Bradford leg at Brunton Park. I think he was I gave him man of the match in that game, and I don't think we'd be in League One without him. But he's one of the ones, and there's a few of them in this team. Toby Shaw-Silva being released as well, not really much of a surprise. Brendan Dickinson, he hasn't played all season. Jamie Devitt released because of the injuries, I'd assume. But Joel Senior is one that he's one of a few. I'd put him on a level with some of the ones we've kept, to be perfectly honest with you, where I'm just not sure he can handle the step up. And maybe that's what Simpson's concerned about. But look, whatever happens, we're in a situation now at the club where I trust what the manager thinks. I trust what the head of recruitment thinks as well, that being Paul Simpson and Greg Abbott. And I suppose we've just got to see who signs their contracts out of the four that have been offered contracts. I've also heard from somewhere, it's not reliable, but there's been a little bit of sort of mentioning of Finn Back coming back on another loan, or maybe even a permanent. And Ben Barkley, I feel like, nothing's been said, but Ben Barkley, he always felt like one for me that they might be looking to sign in the summer. That's why I just don't feel like you get a loan from another League Two club without there being sort of a vision to sign him later on. But look, especially with some of the loan lads going, there's plenty of wage room for the club, and we're going to be making more money now in League One, so hopefully that budget has gone up a little bit. There could also be some outgoings. We'll just have to wait and see over the summer, and it is an exciting summer to come. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I'd love to know what you think about Patrick staying potentially, and some of the players released, some of the players that we've activated options for, and obviously players that could leave having already been in contract next season. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.